based on the performance of the company. If the company is performing well, that means because the share capital is like, I'm assuming you do accounting and you have done some corporate finance. And the value and the, you know what is contained in the balance sheet. Yeah, so the balance sheet will have the capital side, and normally it's comprising the share capital plus, what do you call the where you are the profit of the company after the year is you increase what? The reserve, whatever reserve, whatever you call it. So if you combine the share capital and the reserve, you find the amount. If you divide that amount by the number of shares, it's the value, normally, simply stated, it's the value of the shares. So the reserve increases the value of the shares. But I'm not an accounting teacher. I'm not a corporate finance teacher. So I'm not teaching corporate finance, I'm teaching law. But that's how it works. So the value of all the shares, all these shares, will be continually increasing as the performance of the company continues to grow. This is 5, eh? So we know ordinary shares, we know preference shares, we know deferred shares, which are almost extinct, and we know redeemable shares. Did you know? There are other types of shares which people talk of, but I mean, ordinarily, we are basically we are dealing with ordinary shares and preference shares. Sometimes I don't know how they can reclassify ordinary shares into various ways, but it really won't make much difference. Yeah, the deferred and the redeemable are the ones that I have tried to describe, but they don't have, their existence are not so common. So we just learn about them. Yeah, any questions on this? Then I think the other issue that I wanted us to look at is paying for these shares. When we go to register a company, with the registrar of companies. We register it, it's 100 million shares, 1 kwacha each. That means its value is 100 million. And these shares maybe are taken up by subscribers who are 20 of them. Let's say they decide to take 2 million. So what they have done is they have allotted these shares to themselves. They have allotted 2 million shares. That means although the company is worth 10 million, only 2 million have been allotted. They can ask others through either prospectus or whatever form they use to apply for the other 8 million shares. Let's say they have invited others, so another 8 million shares have been allotted. So the whole 10 million, are we getting the English? Allotment, eh? What is allotment? Allotment means allocation. You have been allocated these shares. They may allot to me 1 million shares. But now payment. 10 million shares allotted, but not paid for. So they may say, pay up. Pay up, they are 1 kwacha shares. Pay up 50 tamba. So if I am allotted 2 million shares and they have asked me to pay up 50 tambala on the shares, that means I'll have to pay 50% of the value of the shares. Are we getting it? Is that a core or a flash? Are you getting confused? Hello? Yes. Mwamaliza? Okay. Ndi upeze kuti? I don't know. Akoza okusiya pati? Pa Crossroads? Yeah? Akoza okusiya pa Crossroads? Eh? Hello? Yeah. So The shares, when they are allotted, are not requiring that you pay anything. They are just there for you. When you apply. For example, I think recently Airtel, recently it's last year, that was last year, they wanted people to apply for shares. So they can say we have 50 million shares available. And according to the prospectus, you may apply. They may indicate the minimum and the maximum. So because they are making them available to the general public, people can apply for shares worth 100 million if they account for them. What they do on allotment, they say we are going to give you a fraction of how much you wanted. For example, if 100 million shares have been applied for, but there were only 50 million, they can say we are going to give you each one half. So for example, if you applied for 400 shares, that means they are going to give you 200. So they allot based on a certain formula. But at the end of the day, they allot 50 million shares. And what they do is they say, we would want you to pay up these shares within maybe 1 month of allotting. They may want the whole amount, but they can also tell you just pay a fraction, 50 or 60 kwacha for each 1 kwacha share, or 40 kwacha for each amount of share. So the amount depends on what I would want you to do is, I wish there was a share, a prospectus going around where each one of you would have bought some shares, and then you would understand how the process goes. Or you can set up your own company. Isn't it possible? No. Why? So you don't want to be part owner of this. Eh? I think it's complicated. No, it's not complicated. It's straightforward. It's easy. Okay, the interest in shares, it's just like the same way you buy land. You go to Kitipi, you buy land, you may not be interested in building on that land or cultivating on that land, but you may just be speculative to say, I know that people will need this land later on, and I'll sell it. So, like, I bought land in 2017 in Baghdad. I sold last year. I bought at 7 million. I sold at 35 million. Wow. Just a bare land? Bare land, and what else? But that's speculative. Yeah. If I were to sell the same land this year, I could have sold at 40 or 45 million. People were buying land in here where I stay, around that same time, maybe 1 acre, at least they were buying bigger chunks, 1 acre, 2 acres at 1 million or less. But now those plots have been subdivided. They are selling just a fraction of that land at 3 million, 4 million. So when they sell the whole place, they are making 40 million, but they bought land at 1 million. I mean, it's speculative. It's the same thing with the shares. Some people, a friend of mine, I think, is it 5 or 6 years ago, bought some chunk of NBS shares. And last year, NBS shares grew like nobody's business. When he sold his shares, he managed to build a house from shares that he could have, if he had bought land, he could have just bought a piece of land like mine in Gulliver. But when he sold those shares, he managed to build a good house out of the money that he made. I don't want to talk about the amounts, but that's how.
Your explanation. How is related shares busy?
No, land is never sold. Okay, that's now another. It has nothing to do with our class. Land is never sold. All land belongs to government, but you can lease for a period of time. Most of the land that is leased, like I had a lease in Zuzu, it's 99 years maximum. So you lease for 99 years. That means after 99 years, the government has to take back its land. But normally they give you another maybe 49 years to lease. But I mean, I was already, how many years old that time? I was already in my 30s. So they give me a lease for 99 years. I mean, am I going to live 99 years? No, normally you don't. For companies, they don't give, I don't think they give them as much as 99 years. Mostly it's 49 years or thereabouts. But the companies can lease because they can renew as often as they want. Yeah. So that's the issue of lease. And normally, if I lease my land, I can subdivide it and sublease. Like Mara Housing leases most of the land that they are giving as plots from government, and they sublease to other people. No, normally, they just transfer the amount of lease to the other people. So that's how it works. Yeah. Why? You have land which you want to sell. To We use sell, but we know that it's not. You don't sell land.
So how do you buy almost government?
It's always when Reserve Bank advertises. If it's treasury bills, my preferred form of investment is in treasury bills. Treasury bills are issued on either 30 days, is it? 30 days, 60, no, 90, 90 days, or 180 days. Sometimes they say 91. I'm not very sure whether 90 or 91. But that's 1 month, 3 months, or 6 months. So what you do is you buy them in 1 kwacha lots. That's the pricing. What you do is you tell them, I can lend, it's like you are lending them. I can lend you 10 million. Which is equivalent to 1 kwacha. That means the 10 million 1 kwacha. But I will give you equivalent of, say, 90 ramba. So that means you are going to give them 9 million. But after, let's say, 91 days or 30 days or 180 days, depending on your choice, they should give you 10 million. You have made 1 million out of that. That's the treasury bill. This is treasury bill. A bond, normally they issue a bond once in a while. For example, I think, is it 3 years or so, or 4 years ago, the Reserve Bank said they are issuing a bond. I don't know how much it is. It was. They wanted to, the construction of the 100, is it? I mean, it's 10,000 security personnel houses. Government issued a bond. By the way, all this is government borrowing. They use Reserve Bank. So they offered a bond. I don't know how much it was. But what you did was to say, they say normally it can be a 10-year bond. You indicate how much you are going using the same formula that we are using for treasury bills. So you can say, I want to buy 10 million of the bond that they are, but I'm offering it at, let's say, 80 kwash, 80 tambaro. So that means instead of paying 10 million, you pay 8 million, but they will repay you after 10 years because it's a 10-year bond. They're going to give you 10 million kwacha. But for a bond, normally there is an addition to say every 6 months, they will be giving you a certain amount of interest. So you get interest as if you are getting dividend on a 6-month, 3 period. That's normally what happens with a bond. But don't forget, we are teaching about classes of shares, not bonds, not treasury bills, not all this other business. But knowledge is very important. There was a time I was working for a certain microfinance institution. Most of the money that at that time the government was borrowing heavily, just like now, and the interest rates that you are getting for investing in these treasury bills is quite huge. So we were, instead of giving loans, we were supposed to be giving loans. We're just buying treasury bills and making a lot of money in the process. So sometimes it can be quite rewarding to invest when the government is interested in borrowing heavily as the one that is the way it's doing, because currently government is borrowing locally a lot of money every week. If you have money, if you don't want to buy shares, invest in the treasury bills. Yeah, but you just go to your commercial bank, tell them that I want to buy shares. They will give you the form. These days they use the dealer banks. So if you tell National Bank, if you tell FNB, if you tell First Capital that if you look at my balance in my account, it's too huge. Can you be buying shares? They normally guide you, the bank will guide you to say, because you bid, they reject some of the bids. If you are demanding too much, I mean, if you want to make a lot of money, the Reserve Bank can give you say no, that's too much, and but they guide you to say you can indicate this amount, and then you lend to the government. So if you can't buy shares, at least lend to the government some of your money. You don't need to be keeping all that money yourself. which, which you have, but you don't want to appreciate that you have the money. Any questions? Yeah. If you show interest in learning about company, because companies basically that's what they do. The good thing is that I can assure you, you are going to pass your company loan. Definitely. And the way you have performed in the mid semester, you can't do much more than just pass. You can't get a distinction or credit. The company loan, you didn't perform as yeah.